All right, this is the rundown, KMS Rundown, April 17th. Hopping in right after Mike is walking out of the show, hot off the presses, and we've got Medium Poppy joining us today, and
How we doing?
Fez as well. Good to see you guys. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, dude.
What's up, Brad?
This is going to be awesome. Looking forward to this. This is a great week of shows to run down. So we'll kick it off at the start with Mike walking out, and we'll go from there. But we'll get it on the other side of this mic sound here.
It's funnier if we just don't say it.
Because we're having a fucking conversation.
Then I just say.
Jesus Christ! I'm just contributing.
Now, some would argue no, but all right,
then. If you don't want me here, you don't want me here. What can I tell you?
Well, then leave. I don't give a fuck. I really don't. Good. Goodbye. Go. Goodbye. Hold on. Go. Goodbye. See you later.
You want me to?
Yeah. Goodbye. See you.
Okay. Jesus.
You want to leave? You say you want to leave? Leave. We'll do the show tomorrow. See you later.
You want me to for some reason.
We're good. Here we go. Take another call.
Okay.
Who we got?
603. You're up.
Is this teary Mike Geary? Are you crying, little Mikey?
So Poppy, we'll start with you first. Hearing the show today, hearing that sound there, what are your general thoughts of the episode today? Mike, what were you thinking when you were listening to it?
You know, it was a fitting way to end a crazy week. It was a crazy week in the KMS community. You know, it was kind of a nice way to send it off. The beginning was kind of tough because, you know, I hate to see my boys take some shots, but regarding Mike, I don't know. I think that Mike's just been a little bit sensitive lately. I think that walking out of the show is just not the best look. I hate to see it. I mean, I totally get it. He's been taking a lot of flack lately, but you got to stick it out. You got to ride it out. I mean, you have a job that thousands of people, you know, would love to take. So you gotta ride it out. You gotta stick through it. So bad day, Mike.
Yeah, it was a bad day, Mike. What were you thinking, Fez, when you were listening to it?
It was crazy because I was waiting for the whole show to see it happen. Then it happens, the last 10, 15 minutes of the show. The misconception that a lot of times people have with me is that I think that Mike should be changing urinal mints at a bowling alley. But that's not. I think Mike's talented, and I've said that before, but I don't think he meshes well with Kirk, and Kirk's kind of hands-off mentoring. I said it last time. I think that if Mike was with Big Cat or KFC or anybody else, he would do a good job. Mike needs to kind of step off that ledge and just learn to fail. Kirk said it on Mayo's show that he's so timid. But he just needs to learn how to just say, you know what, if it sucks, it sucks. I know not to do it and move on. But what does he do instead? He ends up just not doing anything, like the movie night disaster. I mean, come on. Can anyone say that was a good idea after 4 people did it already?
Right. I listened to it. I know Mike feels like maybe I hate him, or I don't know. I'm actually a Mike fan. I end up feeling bad for him in those situations. You can just feel Kirk's anger as the show is going on. I kept time stamping and being like, you can just feel that he's got that anger, and Mike keeps stepping in the way. And Mike, I'll give Mike credit. He kept pushing back and disagreeing with Kirk on little issues, but it just got to be too much. He just needed to hang in. Yeah. Like you can't leave. You can't leave. It's the number one rule. Kirk said it on the show, so I ended up feeling bad for him. I think this is going to lead to some good discussion for tomorrow. I even thought maybe this is a nice little, not a fake way to do it, but maybe some nice controversy to drum up for the weekend for sure. For tomorrow when Kirk joins him. So, but I end up feeling bad for him. But I know tomorrow night's still going on. I know he's going to be there, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. So that was big this week. Also, it was Cullen. The Cullenversary was a huge topic this week. Everybody was looking forward to it. Kirk was certainly excited about it. So we'll listen to a little bit of that, and then we'll hit it on the other side.
I can smell Patriots Day 2013. I can hear it. God, can I hear it? Whenever multiple fire engines or ambulances are racing the scene, I can taste it when I'm around a campfire and embers create a certain sensation. I can see it when I bump into survivors, which happens with more regularity than I ever could have imagined. And I can touch it when I grab those survivors' hands or their shoulders.
Why are you grabbing their hands and shoulders? Stop touching them.
You can smell it. So, you know, anybody who reads that, any human being who reads that, knows that this guy is claiming he was there.
Oh, of course.
I mean, that's not even.
But very, very intentionally trying to do so without explicitly
saying where he
Yes,
was.
Exactly.
It's just,
But you're average, and I couldn't even possibly call them idiots. You should assume that he's telling the truth.
Of course, there's no
reason to assume he's lying.
Is there any reasonable person, Steve, who would read that and wouldn't think he was there?
So given that Cullenversary sound and everything that we heard this week and the celebration against Cullen and the Boston Globe and Kirk taking his victory lap, what were you thinking, Fez, when you heard that this week?
I love the banter they do back and forth because he is such a typical Bostonian with the accent. Everything tries to be like the mean streets when he's living in either a high rise or a 2,000 square foot house. What I don't understand is the double standard, though. This reminds me of there was a woman who was a president of a 9/11 group. Her name was Alicia Head. And she made the whole thing. She said she was in one of the towers. Her husband was killed. And turns out that she was actually in Spain in class during 9/11. And she was never – and once she was outed, she was never heard from again. So now you get Kevin Cullen, who is a known liar, who it's been brought to everyone's attention, the Globe, in a huge city. And what happens? Nothing. Nothing's happened. If you search his name, the only thing that really comes up is his Wikipedia article that says that he was investigated for unethical reporting. But other than that, it's normal, 9 to 5, normal job. So that's where it comes back, where I see Kirk can get mad with the double standard. It doesn't make any sense.
It's crazy to hear it again. It feels like the community is so small, and it feels like where a lot of times Kirk is talking about things that he's the only one who's talking about it in the nation, which is why I love the show so much, because he's pointing out the hypocrisy and the frauds out there. And Kevin Cullen was no different. You can even see as Kirk brought it up then, and then you hear the beat the press sound this week and how they're just trying to stick up for the journalists and try to protect Kevin Cullen, or hesitantly blaming him for something, not wanting to give Kirk credit for pointing this out. The hypocrisy of it just drives you crazy, and I just love to hear him spiking the football, on this Cullenversary. It was great to hear that then. I thought it was the best day of radio, the best week of radio when I heard it then. It was awesome now, and to hear them going with that back and forth with the Cullen shows and some pretty good improv on that. So that was awesome to hear. I don't know what you thought of it, Poppy, as someone who's kind of new to the Kirk Minahan world. What were you thinking when you heard it?
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there, that the honesty is something that we absolutely love about this show. I mean, it kind of paints like a perfect dichotomy between like the kind of media that people like us, seek out listening to Kirk, and then just the rest, like the fucking typical media. Like, I don't understand how Kevin Cullen still has a job. I don't understand why people are tuning in to hear anything he says. I mean, it's like the polar ends of the spectrum. You have someone who's hyper vigilant about finding the truth, then somebody who can just embellish everything, the persona, the experiences, the whole thing. So it makes no sense to me that he has a job. I'm just grateful that we have somebody that's, outing these people and telling the truth, because it's insane that he's out there. It's insane that he's still getting a paycheck from, a major newspaper in Boston. It's nuts. I never hear about it anywhere else. I wouldn't know about it if it wasn't for Kirk, and I know a lot of other people feel that way.
Good point.
So on that same day, the same Kevin Cullen day, we had a really good call from Big Cat. Love it when he calls in. We'll listen to that sound, and we'll hit it on the other side.
Good.
I mean,
Other boy.
what do they say? The road is dark, and it's a thin line. But I want you to know, I'll run with you anyway.
Why are you doing this to me? Why are you being? What are you
I'm
looking?
just wondering when you were going to figure out how
what
many times I've done it.
I know every time. What are you looking up to do this? What is your?
No. I'm on a 75 best Bruce Springsteen Pinterest board.
Okay. that is from tougher than the rest. That one. That's what that one is from.
I said to Steve yesterday, he's like, "You call in?" I was like, I was in the middle of something. I was like, "Give me 20 minutes." I was like, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna call in tomorrow, and I'm gonna see how many Bruce Springsteen lyrics I can screw up by a word or two and get you to be pissed off. So.
And we're back. So I'm a huge fan of Big Cat. I love when he calls into the show. He's the best one, I think, at Barstool. He actually gets the show. Sounds like he really listens to it. He probably doesn't catch it every day because it's hard to catch everything every day, but he's definitely the one who's tapped in and enjoys it the most. He's very playful with the guys. I loved this call, him dropping those Springsteen references and kind of egging Kirk on a little bit was high comedy for me. I really enjoyed it. And it was good to have Mike involved. I think that was another example of Big Cat just being a nice guy and wanting Mike to be involved and being able to contribute this week too. So I love it when he calls in. It's always good when he's hopping on the show. I'm going to be missing that if we go to the subscription service. But Fez, what were you thinking when you heard that call?
I like that. And that's how one of the ways that I think that Kirk is going to grow that Kirk Minahan network is kind of intertwining that Barstool brand. I was kind of the opposite of the Mincels. I got into Barstool because of Kirk, and it was people like Hank and Big Cat and KFC that I like. Portnoy is a little bit kind of eccentric for my taste, but I still like that. But I love how Big Cat, like you said, Red, knew that he loved Bruce Springsteen and just started calling with lyrics and getting them wrong. I think that's what makes the call-ins great. And to touch back, because I can't stop thinking about Mike, that's why I think Mike would be great for Big Cat. Big Cat's not like that older brother, put you on his wing. He calls in, make sure Mike's involved, and it's just kind of nice to see. It's that kind of community that is meshing together.
Absolutely. Poppy, what were you thinking?
Yeah, Big Cat is the best. There's probably a 5-year span before I got, heavily into the KMS world that I listened to the actual Barstool Rundown like every day. I never missed the show. Big Cat's the best. He's pretty much the best that Barstool has to offer. I can't get enough Big Cat. He's him and KFC are just great additions whenever they come on the show. I've heard a lot of that, people talking about maybe Blind Mike would succeed better under a Big Cat or a PMT kind of show. Yes, I mean, he has a great skill at doing that, but I think also Blind Mike he's a perfect fit for this show. So he has to find his way of growing with Kirk, without that kind of mentor role. But Big Cat's the best. Love it whenever he calls in. Awesome character.
Yeah, I really enjoy the Yak as well. I've always been, started out listening to Kirk on EEI, been more of a Barstool and fan of the blogs. There's not too many that are good on the radio, that are good on air. Big Cat is definitely the number one for that. It's great when him and Kirk are doing something together. So it was awesome to get that on this week. That was just crazy, full of drama and things that were triggering Kirk. This is definitely something good to have in there to go amongst the madness. And speaking of the madness, we've got some sound from Mike and MHB when they were doing the trash talk, talking about one of MHB's burners and some different things. So we'll get in a little bit of KMS community after that sound.
Oh yeah, I'm a fan of the show. I try to listen.
Have you caught up? Because I know you didn't listen for like 3 weeks or something. Did you catch up or did you just jump right in?
No, I think generally I would rely on KMS quotes to lead me in the right direction as far as when I'm. But ever since I retired that account,
can I tell you the most? We've never talked about this.
Yeah,
the most psychotic thing. I'm amazed I'm still friends with you. The fact that we've gotten into arguments where you literally said, I shouldn't have believed KMS quotes before listening to the show. When I found out you ran that account, it was mind-boggling to me.
It's bewildering.
It's psychotic.
It is a little psychotic. No,
it's concerning to me that you just laugh and say, "Isn't that crazy, kids?"
I think it's completely normal behavior.
Yeah,
I think that
you're a normal guy.
It's all for show content. At the end of the day, you do it for the content, right? Isn't that what the kids say? Do it for the clout, I guess, right?
All right, so listening to MHB, Blind Mike, I know I have my opinions, some pretty strong opinions, not only of that sound, but also it's just been a really crazy week for us in the KMS community. Somebody who hangs out in the Discord, hangs out on the Reddit and Twitter. A lot of drama, a lot of things have been thrown around. Violence has been threatened, doxing has been threatened. And I can't stand it. It drives me crazy for a lot of different reasons. MHB being one of them. It just seems like he wanders in every 6 months and then wants to dox somebody, threaten somebody, swing his dick around, and you could see it with the Mincel Intel guys and everybody else. It was a bad week for a lot of different people. I know my DMs were full of threats, so I didn't know how to handle it. I still enjoy trash talk. I still enjoy MHB in a way, but it just seems like things are kind of getting off the rails a little bit. And then the downside of that is Kirk has to address it right off the top of his show. So the 1% of the people who are actually involved in the Discord or the Twitter, the 1% of the listeners or the 10% of the listeners, they're the ones that know this is coming at the top of the show, but everybody else has got to listen to Kirk address it. And I wonder how they take it. I know on the sub, they're not really big fans of all the inside stuff from the parody accounts. So it drives me crazy to hear it and have to go through that, especially when Kirk is asking us to stop it. But anyway, Poppy, you're in the Discord heavy. What were you thinking when you were seeing things this week?
So I'll always have respect for DEC and MHB, but like you're talking about with the inside stuff, the one thing that I just don't like is when somebody kind of comes in, hasn't really been listening to the show, doesn't know all the details, and just pops his head in when he feels like it and just fucking blows things up. It just seems a little bit irresponsible. Those are the two things that kind of just annoyed me in the whole discourse this week is Blind Mike and MHB just not really knowing the details. You can't really come hard with this fire when you just don't have the facts and the details to kind of fuel your argument. I wasn't really a big fan of the podcast, the DEC MHB podcast. It just seems over the top, Yeah, I'll always have some respect for MHB, but I think if you're gonna come out with this kind of fire, you got to be involved in the show. You got to be listening every week. You got to know the details, and it didn't really seem like they did. They just kind of came in, shot from the hip, and got super aggressive over shit they shouldn't have been.
I agree. I think when MHB says he hasn't been listening for 6 months, it's like Cynthia Dill popping in and all of a sudden just spouting out about things that she doesn't know or people she doesn't know. So it just really pissed me off to see it. I understand it, but then, like you said, like the information that gets to Kirk from MHB or from Mike, who might not see everything or know the details, or even Steve, it's clouded lenses that's getting that information to Kirk. It just drives you crazy when you hear it on the show. It seems like there's a big disconnect there. What were you thinking, Fez?
I was thinking, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with that guy. Like, honest to God, I have no clue. I can't even formulate a sentence sometimes, because if you go back to the Discord and Poppy, I think both of you guys were in there. Was MHB came in there, I think in December, and said he was going through a tough time. Everyone rallied behind him. Hey man, let's bygones. And then 2-3 weeks later, he's back into pissing into the wind again. I think it's jealousy. And I'll say that, and I'll reach out to MHB and say, if you need to text somebody at 12:30, you can text me. I tweeted it. We can be pals. I just don't understand what texting Kirk at 12:30 about John from Scranton is going to do to help anything. When it comes down to hey, I support Kirk. I love Kirk. I buy the merchandise. I try to buy the Wilbur tickets. I do everything that I can. But he's a grown-ass man. Like, why are you getting involved? He's going to hear about the John from Scranton. You're just trying to get to it first to try to be his, his pal, which I feel is just a whole bunch of jealousy because he's not getting the attention. I will say that 99.9% of the people who do these things, aren't being famous. I do it because I like bullshitting with you guys.
Yeah.
But there's a core. That core is just. John busts his ass. He takes some chances, and good for him. And if MHB can't do that, we'll just go to the back burner. Don't worry about it. You'll always be, I guess, what they call a made guy. I hate that. I just don't understand even, DEC. I've reached out to DEC, and I said, hey, how's things going? I have no issues with him. But some of the tweets that he tweets, like the Rich Kelleher thing, or even today about, John being on there, what does that help out? Nothing. Reach out to John and ask him.
Especially, it just seems like they're seeing ghosts. They're seeing Rich Kelleher ghosts. They're seeing, John for some reason pisses these guys off. I don't know why. He seems like a really nice guy. He helps out the community a lot. He helps out with shows he's not even involved in. It's interesting to see their take on it. I know with MHB, I didn't realize he was a program director for Kirk's show. Texting him, late at night. But it's we appreciate his service. But he's somebody that's been trying to dox Phil and everybody else and threatening to do it. And I know, Poppy, you have some experience getting threats with doxing. Where do you? And I know the guys have talked about, why is doxing even a big deal? Steve and Mike seem to push it aside. What was it like going through your doxing experience when you see MHB and Blobe doing those things? What is that like for you watching that?
Yeah, so I think that all of it comes from a place of insecurity. I've had a little bit of experience with it. And when I kind of get that threat, what it says to me right away is, okay, this person has no other argument. They have no other ground to stand on, no other points to make. They're literally, taking the lowest hanging fruit in an attempt to get the other person to stop arguing because they got no more juice. This whole situation with like DEC right now and John from Scranton and everyone else, I think it also comes from a place of insecurity. I mean, I think that DEC should realize that he'll always have a really high spot in the totem pole of this world for like forever, and to do what those guys are doing right now, it just seems like you're the old wife, just feeling like you're getting less attention. I personally love what Kirk is doing. I love that this YouTube channel, this network, is getting built. I mean, you don't have to pay attention to it. No one's gonna fucking care if you ignore it. But there's tons of content out there being provided. He's harnessing the skill sets of a ton of fans that are the best fans out there, and they got cool things to say on different topics. They're sharing information with each other, So I think that the old guard should, it's very natural. It's very natural to have that feeling of like jealousy or feeling threatened or whatever. If a new guy comes into work that's talented, it's very natural to have that kind of feeling. But I think your job as an ambassador for this world is to kind of curb those feelings, put them aside and be like, all right, you know what, I might feel a little bit threatened, I might not like this. New guys are getting some attention, but I'm an ambassador. I have to try to help these guys out, grow the whole community as a whole. And that just doesn't seem like that's where they were coming from. So I don't know. I hope we can just move forward and grow the community.
It's crazy because you see so many guys that are doing it the right way. Steve from Providence makes himself accessible in the Discord, on Twitter.
He's great.
He's great. He helps people out. He makes great phone calls. He promotes the show. He does it the right way. He doesn't threaten anybody. He's doing great things and helping to build the community and make more fans, make more Minifans. He's doing it to try and build up this podcast that he loves. I think TJ Hubbard doesn't get upset about a gig or a Fez or somebody doing different gifts, anything like that. He's more than willing to share in that. He doesn't get sensitive about it. Just loves the show, loves Kirk, wants to support it. I think there's a lot of people that are doing things the right way, and there's just this certain few that spent this week poisoning the well, even though Kirk is telling us in AMAs to knock it off and doing it on the show too. It was just, I try and focus in on the good ones and try and leave all that other stuff behind, but man, it can be exhausting when you think about it.
Red, did you see that I'll leave it at this, that tweet that MHB, he may have deleted it, the one where he said it was something like, you better knock this off or I will make your life miserable, and I can do that. Like, yep. It literally reminded me of Taken with Liam Neeson.
Yep.
Like, he tried to play this like guy who has taken down so many people. But let's remember about the Albright situation when he turtled, or the time when Mike jokingly called him and said that Kirk was mad on him, and he did a podcast apologizing for not being there for the Albright. So I don't understand that whole entire I'm a tough guy, act of like the 1950s. It blows my mind. I don't understand it.
And I'll tell you, as bad as it is, even when he's deleting these tweets, it's even worse in the DMs. He's even worse. So I feel bad for the guy in a way. It feels like he's struggling a little bit, and I'm sure probably that's why Kirk treats him the way he treats him. I'm sure Kirk probably knows that and is trying to be sensitive to that. But man, it just gets involved for this week, and then he'll be gone for another 6 months, and just trying to blow stuff up, man. That's his thing. It is what it is. I mean, I'm happy to play the sound, but I'm not much of a watcher or a listener of his stuff. But
yeah.
Well, anyway.
Regarding the doxing thing, I've seen a lot of people saying lately, or not a lot of people, but I was watching Mincel Intel, and I think TJ Hubbard was saying that, like doxing, like that, it isn't that big of a deal. A lot of people have had their information kind of come out, and it's fine, you move on. But I think that should be up to every individual person. Like some people are cool with it; they have their name out there, they have all kinds of shit out there. But some people, really just don't want that, and I think there should be more respect to kind of, everyone's individual kind of, boundaries. If there's like, certain people have certain things they don't want talked about. And just because, person A, B, and C got doxxed doesn't mean that it's cool for everyone else to get doxxed. It's just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
The doxing thing is rough. I just don't like seeing that, especially when people are good people otherwise and they're just getting threatened with that. It seems like it's just bullshit.
Yep.
I agree, Poppy. Yep.
We could go on this forever, man. Thank you, Poppy, for doing this. Fez, thank you for coming in and doing this. Excited, enjoying this process with you guys. Poppy, when's your next show dropping?
So I'm thinking and hoping that our slot's going to be Tuesday nights at 7 p.m.
Okay.
So we're just trying to be a show that kind of focuses on the community. We've kind of touched on that here, but like I was saying about Kirk and the YouTube channel, we got a lot of awesome people in this community, and just trying to harness some of those cool people. So, we got Pat from Lawrence, who's a super unique and cool dude doing his little videos out in Lawrence. We got all kinds of, great characters that we're trying to do different segments every week and keep some, some interesting content coming out.
Awesome.
You got Dummy on there too. Dummy is
Chief Investigator.
Wow.
Love that.
Chief Investigator. I call him, I say it all the time, I love when he drops the truth nuke because he doesn't hold back and it's a paragraph of just truth.
I love it. That's great.
I think I've heard John from Scranton say something to this effect, but when you got dragons in the arsenal, you can't be pissed off when they spit fire. So I knew what I was getting into with Dummy. I love him. Sometimes he's gonna say some wild shit, but that's
awesome.
The price. He's a great guy.
All right, so we got to wrap it up. But again, support the show, support the sponsors. For the KMS Rundown, we're trying to get 10,000 subscribers to the YouTube. So follow along on Twitter. We're trying to do that and email those entries in and try and win 2 tickets to the Wilbur. And then also we have the Dave Portnoy RIP Memorial Race coming up. Make sure you guys are registering for that. Excited for those things. Focusing on the positive. Looking forward to Mike and the Minifans on Saturday. And then we'll have Kirk take us out with his rendition of Ain't Nothing. Was it Ain't Nothing About Love? Ain't Talking About Love. Ain't Talking About Love with Kirk Minahan. Thank you guys. Really appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks, thanks, Red.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me on. You guys are doing a great. I've been watching this rundown style from Barstool for years and years. So happy to have someone else doing it here. Yeah, thanks a lot for having me, and keep up the great work, guys.
Thank you, Poppy. Come back on anytime, man. We're trying to make sure that everybody has a voice and can do these things. And we're trying to bring in, like, we're hopefully we're going to get in Zonker and get him in here, which would be funny to have him on the rundown. So thank you, Fez, for working that angle. I know that's going to tick Portnoy off when he sees that on the KMS Rundown. But yeah, man, this is the only reason why I wanted to do this is just to be able to talk about Kirk Minahan, man. And this is the best thing that Barstool does, I think, is the rundown. So I'm pumped to do it. But
hell yeah, brother.
Awesome. All right, boys. Have a good weekend. I'll see you in the Discord. Nick, are you there?
Yeah.
Love you.
Nick, thanks for taking a beating on the show today and doing this. I know I'd be at your age, I'd be shitting a brick right now, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Dude,
I'm just glad I got turned on to an awesome new EEI product. So thank you, Nick. Been looking for that, So much love.
Do you subscribe to Poppy? I mean,
oh yeah, I bought some Entercom stock today. I was just so fucking pumped to get that in my life. So
I put some applications in. I'll be before we know it. I'll be honest with you, though. For as old as Nick is, I don't know how old Nick is. Maybe 21. You handled yourself good because I know at 21
sure.
I would have been bubbling, blabbering.
Oh my god! And I know Justin and Will would have been shitting themselves. I think Nick probably handled it the best out of those three. So.
He's probably the only intern that's awake by this hour. You know.
That's also.
Oh yeah. Is he? Well, Nick, are you there? Or are you hanging from the rafters? Because
he's in there. He's chatting right now. I think he's working on something. But.
Oh, okay. All right, so I'll jump off and let Nick do what he has to do. Let me go with anything. Poppy, thanks for coming on, Red. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you guys.
All right, see you in the Discord later on tonight.
Oh, I know this one. Turn that shit up!
You know this one, Steve? You know it? You don't know this one, Mike?
I do. I don't know the words.
Oh yeah, I heard the news, baby. All about your disease, you fuckhead Minute fans. Yeah, you get what you want, baby. But I got something you need. That's his dick, Mike. Oh yeah, ain't talking about love. My love is rotten to the core. Ain't talking about love. Just like I told you before. Yeah, before you know you're semi-good looking and on the streets again. And you think you're really cooking, baby? You better find yourself a friend. Oh yeah, ain't talking about love. Don't dox me. My love is rotten to the core. Ooh, you may pause. Ain't talking about love. Ooh, pizza fund. Just like I told you before. Yeah, before. Play that fucking solo. Crank that shit up, Steve. Crank that up. Hey, why don't I have a YouTube show? Why am I on the private thread? Big and rotten to the core. Ain't talking about love. Just like I told you before. Before you've been to the edge, then I stood and looked down. I know I lost a lot of friends there, baby.
We should just do this for 2 hours and then leave.
Here it is, right here. Here it is.
So if you want it, got to bleed.
That's right, Mike. Cause if you want it, you got to bleed, baby. You got to bleed, baby. Got to bleed, baby. One more time. Ain't talking about love. Love is rotten to the core. Ain't talking about love. Just like I told you before. Fans are trying to blow up the Wilbur. They're gonna fucking shoot it up. This is just a fucking podcast, you cunts. Just like you're talking about love. Turn it up. How fucking great is this song? Hey! 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 Private thread! Below and Phil! LAP's a pussy! Hey! 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 DC blows his dog! Woo! That is a fucking rock and roll song right there.
Did you do an unboxing before the show? You seem yipped up.
Woo!